Hi, beautiful beings. I had a little intuitive hit to go live about one of my favorite things to talk about, and that is money. I'm just typing in the comments and penning this comment so those that hop on throughout this live know what I'm talking about. Why money is the easiest thing to create. It is. I heard this on a podcast that I was listening to. I posted in my reel actually yesterday. Can't remember. The days are running together these days. That sounded funny. But yeah, I heard this on a podcast from Jasmine the Moon Mother. And she was talking about how money is the easiest thing to create. And I was like, wow, that is so true. When I truly choose to see it from this perspective, and I'll give you a background story of like how I was raised to think about money and how I've come to shift that over many years of intention and showing love to this belief in me that was very ingrained at a subconscious level for the first 24 years of my life, or however long, I don't even know, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I started getting really intentional about my relationship with money when I found the book How to Be a Badass by Jen Sincero, and this was recommended to me by a coworker at the time when I was working at Whole Foods and in leadership there. A coworker recommended it, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool, like How to Be a Badass. I don't even know if that's the title of it. It feels like it's been like 10 years since that happened, but anyways, it's by Jen Sincero, and she has one on money, and reading that book like changed my whole life and perspective on money and finances itself. And since then, I've gone down the rabbit hole of learning about money and learning about how we can really be intentional with what we're creating as it relates to money. Money these days isn't really a tangible thing. Like, yes, you can get cash out of your bank account, but like, what does it actually like mean? Money is just an exchange, an energetic exchange we give to place value on something. It's an investment we make to get something back in return. And I've been noticing this theme within myself and with others, that when we don't pay for something, we don't value it as much. Like when I get something for free, I just like put it on the back burner. It like goes on the bottom of my to-do list. Oh, I'll do that whenever, like this free training or this free like series or whatever. Like unless I'm really invested and there's a really strong why behind why I signed up for this free thing, then it just like doesn't get done. And I really attribute that to money and the energetic exchange of money, and that when we exchange energy via currency, via money, we really invest into that thing. This is why people charge for coaching sessions. This is why I charge for consultations with me and for sessions with me and for tarot and astrology readings with me and human design readings, because when you invest money into something, you have skin in the game, and therefore you're going to be invested in receiving the information you get from that. Whereas when it's free, you don't really care as much because you didn't really invest anything. You didn't really exchange any energy. It's just kind of like meh. And like tuning into the energy, if you're really sensitive to energetics, like tune into the energy of when you get something for free, when you don't pay for something, versus when you do. Like you automatically value it and are more invested in whatever it is. Like this could be anything. This could be a book. This could be a webinar, a free training. This could be clothes. Like I just find that for me, when I get stuff for free, I don't take care of it as much. I don't value it as much because again, there's nothing that I have invested into it. And so it's like, it's almost like it doesn't matter as much because I didn't invest anything into this thing. It's literally an energetic exchange. And as we move into the age of Aquarius, like energetic exchange is going to be more and more heightened and more important, that we are exchanging energy for what we're receiving, that we're giving for what we receive, because it will then in turn come back to us in tenfold. And that's really how money operates as well. Like money is the easiest thing to create. And kind of got off on a tangent here, which I'm really good at with Venus and Gemini being my chart ruler. If you don't know your chart ruler in astrology and want to find out, download my free guide, which you can find at bit.ly/learnastrohd. That is also, I think, linked in my bio and my link tree, and also in my most recent reel that I posted. You can find the link there too, to get a free guide to learn what your chart ruler is and also learn more about your human design. But anyways, So my journey with money started back when I found Jen Sincero's book. And I was really just in a bad place with money. Like, I got into this cycle. I was working at Whole Foods, and I knew the money that was coming in every month and every day. I was paid really well hourly. I think I was making about $20 an hour, and I was being paid really well. This is the most I've ever made in my entire life as a college dropout. Like, I thought this was like the most I could ever make in my entire life. Like, I was like rolling in the dough according to my standards of what that looked like. And I still was in this oscillation cycle. I talked about this on one of my lives, I think both of my lives actually, from this past week. Go check that out if you haven't seen on my IGTV, of my oscillation with money and how I'll have money, I'll create a lot of money, and then I'll spend it all and it'll be gone. And that I was still in this oscillation cycle with that when I was working at Whole Foods, even though I was making like a consistent, like, I want to say like $2,000 every month, which was like, again, the most I'd ever made in my life. And I thought I was doing really well. And it's so funny, like, thinking back to that now of like, wow, it really is relative. Like, expense, what you make every month, like, it's all relative. Like, we can have whatever we want. And this is a whole tangent for another live. But when it comes to money, we really truly can have whatever we want and whatever we decide that we want to create and call in. And that's the number that we'll energetically align with and we'll call in for ourselves. And so for me at the time, being like 20, I guess I was like 21, 22, $2,000 a month was like, I was doing fucking amazing. That was like 4 times what my rent cost. Like, I was doing great. And I still didn't have any money in my bank account. Like, again, I would get paid. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I would get paid, I would spend it all, and then it would be gone. And then this is when I got credit cards, because I had 2 jobs at the time, actually. I worked at Whole Foods and I worked at the North Face, and sold outdoor equipment. And one of my coworkers at the North Face was like, spending from a debit card is kind of useless because you don't get cash back or you don't get points for it, like anything like that. But spending on a credit card, you do. And I was like, I could get rewards for just spending money. And that just like clicked something in my brain. I was like, yes, I'm going to get a credit card. And then same thing happened with the credit cards. I had like a limit of like, I think it was like $2 or $3 grand or something. And then I like bought all the things I wanted and that limit was gone. I was like at the limit and I had no more free money on my credit card. And I kept getting into these cycles and noticing a pattern within myself of like getting into this cycle. And I think a few months went by, I got my tax return, I paid off all the debt on my credit card and was like, yes, like I'm never going into debt like that again. Like, that wasn't really a good feeling. Like, I don't know if I want to do that again. And then like a couple months went by and I was in the same place. And I started to notice like, this is so interesting. Like, why am I putting myself in this stressful cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and never really seemingly having money and like spending all my money that I do have on things and then having like a 0 bank account basically. And so I was like, that's really interesting. Like, I'm going to look at this. And then I found the book, and the book really changed my whole relationship with money. And like, really, there were so many things. I was scared to look at my bank accounts. I was scared to know what I was spending. I was scared to like be invested and have a full-on relationship with my money, which is so many things that have changed like about how I handle money now versus then. And again, it's been like a 3-4 year journey of this. I think I was, let's see, when was that? That was like my 3rd year at Whole Foods. So I was probably like, I was probably 23 or 24. Yeah, I was 23 or 24. I'm 27 now. When I really started to look at my relationship with money and take action towards changing it and really get into a better place with how I was creating money and how I was like choosing to have money in my bank account. So that is what it all started with, was that book by Jen Sincero, which I think is How to Be a Badass at Making Money or something like that. And so that really started my journey, and I ended up investing in a lot of courses. I invested in more books to learn about money and unpack my subconscious relationship with money, because there was something at a subconscious level that I was doing, that I was believing about money, that was causing this pattern to repeat itself of living paycheck to paycheck and always spending my money on just like kind of like instant gratification things, and then not having money and having to live without until the next paycheck. And I was really stuck in this cycle. And I was also stuck in like, I have to know how the money's coming in. And if I don't know how the money's coming in, then I don't feel safe, or I don't feel stable, or I don't feel secure to spend my money. And I'm kind of getting off a tangent here, but what I want to get back to is that money is the easiest thing to create when you decide that it is. and decide that you want to have it and want to keep it in your life. And again, this comes back to what we believe subconsciously about money. Do I have a link to the book? Yeah, I can. Yes, I will create a link and I will DM it to you, JFlow. So if you're not following me, follow me and I'll send you a DM of it. But yeah, so I read this book and it changed my life. And ever since then, I've really been on this like path of changing my relationship with money. And what I'm getting at today is that I was listening to this podcast yesterday. It's still a major focus for me because currently right now, I've had some like wild things happen with money to me recently, which is a little bit prophesizing of what the future is going to be like. I honestly feel like we're moving more into a time of the Great Depression, how the Great Depression was about 100 years ago, and that banks are going to be stable, so it's really not a great place to keep money if you have savings. Like there's a lot changing. There's a lot changing right now, so it's not a great place to like keep money in a bank account, which I'm gonna make a YouTube video about, and how I've really like transitioned out of having my money into a bank account and where I keep my money to be secure and be stable so that I can actually spend it and create more of it that way and not be subject to banks, because banks will always and forevermore do what benefits them. They will withhold purchases so that your account goes overdraft, and so that they can charge you fees for the overdraft. It's like ridiculous what banks do. So it's really not a great place to keep your money. But anyways, that's again another live for another day. What I'm talking about today is that money is the easiest thing to create, and it really is when you decide that it is. Like there are so many ways to create money, and maybe even like getting to your journal and asking yourself, like, what are some ways I could create money right now if you're struggling financially? Like, what are some ways I could create money? Like, how can I sell what I have to offer? How can I provide value for my gifts, that what I've learned through my own unique experience? Because we all have our own unique experiences, and even though we might think, oh, everybody knows this knowledge, that is so not true. And you have a unique bank of knowledge that you can be using to share with people, and also asking to receive back for that. People want to pay people for their services. And like I said at the beginning of this live, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and we are going to be seeing the importance of energetic exchange, and how that what we give is what we receive. And really like choosing to see money as we're all tapped into. It's like a hose coming from your house. Like we're all tapped into. Think of this unlimited source of money up in the sky. You can call it universe, source, God, whatever you resonate with. It comes from the universe, is this infinite supply of money that we all have access to. It's like, I'm holding my hand above my head. It's like a hose, right? There's a hose that wants to come in and give us money. But when we hold on to what we have and we're scared to spend, that is, we put like a kink in the hose, and it can't flow as freely as it was when we're like just allowing it to come and just allowing it to go, and knowing that we are like, we're still tapped into the infinite source of abundance. We are always tapped into the infinite source of abundance, and just like allowing it to go out and knowing that it's going to come back. When I have really lived from that place, that has been the most abundant times in my life of like releasing the how, because like I said, I was living paycheck to paycheck for so long, expecting, oh, this paycheck is how I'm going to get money, and that's the only way I can get money. And then I really started to see, like I left that, if you listen to my live of my story yesterday and how I got to Hawaii, I left my job at Whole Foods to pursue other means of making money. I started doing dog walking. I started doing online fitness and nutrition coaching, because that is something I've really been passionate about like since I was a little kid. And I really started to create other streams and other ways that I could create money. And this really opened up my eyes, like, wow, money really is the easiest thing to create. Like, if you're really low on money, you can sell things that you have and don't use. You could again create a service, or like something you love to do. Like if you love to spend time with animals, you can start, there's so many apps you can download to start dog walking, or you can put out a message out there on your Facebook to your friends like, hey, I'm looking for extra ways to make cash. Is there anyone looking for these services? This is what I offer. This is what I have to teach the world. There's so many ways to create money, and it's like, it's infinite. And when we really like allow that flow to like be unkinked, I'll say, it just comes in. Like, I have created money in the most amazing way since really leaving that cushy job that I said I had, that I was living paycheck to paycheck. I have created money in the most like random and amazing and unexpected ways, because again, that is my belief system. I believe that money is easy and it comes easily to me, and I get to create it just by being me and sharing what I have to share with this world. We often get caught up in like, what is my purpose? How can I make money? And how can I align my money with my purpose? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, like, you are your purpose. You're living your purpose every single day. Like, how can you speak from that place of like, you are your purpose, and speak from that truth of like, I am my purpose, and whatever I have to share in this moment is part of my purpose, and I can't, whatever is meant for you will never leave you. So you are what is meant for you, and by being that in each and every moment, you will attract the things to you that you desire. And by keeping this stream of money open and constant without kinking it or putting grips on it, it's kind of like when the faucet is running and we try to like squeeze and hold on to the water, it all falls out. Like, we can't hold on to it if we're squeezing and gripping so tightly. We have to allow it to flow, and that money is no different. And money also doesn't hold grudges. If you have had a bad, quote unquote bad, or unstable relationship with money in the past, it's never too late to change that. Money, the spirit of money, doesn't hold grudges. You can consciously decide that you want to change your relationship with money and take action towards that, and do the things, tell yourself mantras, tell yourself new stories about money. Go to your journal and really journal about what your relationship with money looks like. What do you believe about money? Do you believe it's hard to create? Do you believe it can only come from one source? Really look at those beliefs and ask yourself, is that actually true? Or have I just been believing that and for creating that because I have been believing that for so long? So it really does stem from our beliefs and what we're like taking action from based on those beliefs. I got off on another tangent there, but what I was saying is that I have created money in the most miraculous ways. Like, I can't even express how many times I have, like, yes, as I mentioned in my live yesterday, sometimes I've had to ask my parents for money and my grandma and like my family to support me. I've had to ask friends to borrow money, and it has really been like a huge, I think we're taught in society, it's really been a huge roadblock for me to overcome, because we're so taught in our society that we can't ask for help, and that we have to do everything on our own, and that we have to be independent, and if we're not, like, there's something wrong with us. And that is complete fucking bullshit. Like, as a species, we have always lived within communities, within tribe, within connection with others, within asking and living from like the resources of others and having access to resources from others. Like, it is such a lie fed to us by the Matrix that we have to do everything alone. It's complete fucking bullshit. So if you need help, don't be afraid to ask for it. If you need like $20 for dinner, like, don't be afraid to ask for it. If you need like help, ask for it. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've had to overcome too in my struggles with money, is like allowing myself to ask for help when I need it and truly like need it, and also know that, and not shame myself for it, and know that it's all divine, and know that yes, I can create it from other places, but right now I really like need it from this one place. And yes, it's open to coming in through other sources, but not cutting off your flow to money because you think it's going to mean something about you. Like, not making any of this mean anything is really like the crux of this. And really, there's so much to this. It's so multifaceted. And like I said, I've spent 4 years really unpacking all of this within myself. So it's like impossible for me to share it all with you in a 30-minute video, or however long this video turns out to be. But like, just to go to show you that it's possible to change your relationship with money, and it's possible to change how you view money. And I've this summer even been in a huge rebirth and transformation with money, because honestly, like right now, my bank account is negative, is negative a few $1,000s. I'm just going to be honest and blunt. My bank account is negative a few $1,000s, and I'm not worried about it. Like, it's fine. Because like I said at the beginning of this, banks will always do what favors the banks. They withheld a couple $1,000 payment from me for about a month, which is really unusual. And I've talked to a few different people about this, and they've all given me like the same advice that banks will always do what benefits the banks to make money off of you in whatever way they can. And if they see that you're someone that has a constant influx of money, like in and out, like kind of like how I said I have been living the past few years and still kind of am in that patterning. I'm human. I'm not perfect, and I will never claim to be perfect because that's fucking impossible. We are all imperfect human beings. That is why we came here and what our experience entails here on this planet. And so I really saw the extent of like, wow, I can't trust banks. I had a really trustworthy online bank that I really loved since college, about, I want to say 8 or 9 years. I had this bank that was like, it was solid. I loved it. And then they switched, they like closed, and I got switched over to this other banking institution that I really just don't like and don't resonate with. And then of course they kind of like, I don't want to say they fucked me over, but they kind of did. And so now my account is like negative thousands of dollars. And I've really had to realize like, and learn not to trust banks and to learn how to create and spend money other ways, which again, I will create a YouTube video on eventually. I have a lot of ideas circulating above me that I've just like been struggling to structure and take action on. So there's a lot coming. This is just the beginning for me, guys. So if you're just tuning in to me, like stick around, because I promise you there is amazing things on the way. I really am so passionate about sharing my life with you and all that I have learned and all that I have experienced, and how that can really help those of you that need it right now and that need this knowledge, and that it's taken me years and years and years to accumulate. You don't have to go through that process. You can learn it from me. So anyways, I have really learned how to create and spend money outside of a bank account. And I will go briefly, I'll go into that here. Like there's Cash App, there's Venmo, there's PayPal, there's so many sources now. I have a lot of money invested in Bitcoin as well. That is just like making me money every day. Which is like so cool to see. And again, it's just easy to create money when we really align with the sources that feel good for us. Like having Bitcoin, having all my money in Bitcoin right now feels really good. It feels really safe. It feels really secure. Bitcoin is like the one cryptocurrency that is going to be, it's the big daddy. It's like, if you invest in any cryptocurrency right now, Bitcoin is like the number one I can recommend, because it's sustainable and it's going to be around for a long time. And it's not going to be as cheap as it is much longer. So if you have been waiting to buy, now is the perfect time to buy into Bitcoin. Anyways, I got off on another tangent there. But what I was saying is that I've really had to learn that bank accounts aren't stable. And as we've seen with the Great Depression in the 20s and the 30s, like, yeah, it's not safe to have our money in bank accounts, because that could just happen again and all of our money would be gone. Like, it's really just numbers on a screen at this point. It's really like, it's just so crazy how our money has evolved to be what it is right now in this world. But it's also really beautiful and really creates a lot of opportunity for us to live from this place of, yes, money is really easy to create. It is one of the easiest things we could create, because again, there's no tangible anything tied to it. It's just numbers on a screen at this point. And you might be like, Kelsey, like, are you okay? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yes. Like, this has been my experience of the last 4 years of really learning at a deep subconscious level about money and what it really is. Also, in this world, it is just numbers on a screen, and it's so easy to create. It's so easy to allow in when you're really like surrendered to like the ways that it can come in. And again, this is like what I want to share, of that when I was living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, I was like cutting off the infinite supply of abundance of money that we all have access to, because I was expecting so like, and I'm a fixed sign. I have so much fixed energy in my birth chart. I'm a Taurus with a Scorpio stellium. So like, I'm fixed as fuck. And when I like apply my intention to something, it is that way. And so I had this like belief for so long that money can only come in through this one way. And that was my experience, because that was my belief. And then I left that cushy job. I just took a leap. I was scared shitless, and I had multiple breakdowns about it and was really scared. And my whole family was like, what are you doing? You're going to leave your paycheck. You're going to leave your cushy job at Whole Foods, where you're making like more money than you've ever made, to just like go like what, dog walk and like be an online fitness coach? Like, what are you even talking about? And I did it. I stuck with my intuition. Again, my inner guidance system told me I needed to do this, and I listened. I followed that nudge, which our inner guidance system will never lead us astray. And I'm so grateful I did. However many, I think that was 4 years ago. I don't even know now. But I've really learned through that experience that there's so many ways to create money. And this is the tangent I keep getting off on or removed from, of like sharing my experience with how I've been able to create money through so many different sources. Like I said, I was dog walking, I was house sitting, which people pay really good money for, by the way. I was an online fitness coach. That was creating money for me. I started to sell things I didn't use anymore. I had like an iPad like 3 different times in the past like 8 years, and I've sold it each time because there's just so many ways. Again, so many ways to create money. I'm about to sell some of my Oracle decks that I don't use to create money. There's so many ways to create money, and it's only when we limit ourselves by thinking, oh, it has to come from this one source and that's the only way I can create it, is what really stops, again, this flow of infinite abundance, the stream of infinite abundance that we're all attached to from the universe. It really blocks that flow when we're expecting it to come from a certain place and not allowing miracles to happen. Miracles are natural and normal, and when miracles are not occurring, something is wrong, and money is no exception to this. So yeah, that is my experience of how money is easy to create. I mean, it's freaking infinite. Like, I have friends that are like, they just really got into photography during COVID, and like taking photography of the night sky, and are selling their artwork now because of that. Like, there's just so many ways to create money, and then we really, again, I sound like a broken record here. I feel like when we limit ourselves, when we attach the how to this one place or this one source. And I did that for so long because, again, I worked retail. I worked at Whole Foods for 4 years. I had multiple jobs throughout my experience working at Whole Foods because, again, I had this correlation of like, oh, getting a job at this place is the only way I can make money. It's complete fucking bullshit. And we deny our innate guidance system, our innate wisdom, when we give weight to that belief. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you're just tuning into the end of this, I'll be reposting it to my IGTV and also my YouTube channel, because this is something I really want to talk about more, especially as we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and we have Uranus and Taurus right now, and we're moving into a little bit of an unstable economic situation, I will say. To know your power when it comes to creating money, and really integrating and embodying this belief that you get to create money with ease, and that it gets to come in the most miraculous and unexpected and unknown ways that you could possibly not even really imagine to your monkey brain, or your like, again, not living from the past of like, this is the way of creating money in the past, so this is the way I can create money in the future. No, it is literally unlimited. How do you want to be creating money? For me personally, this is why I started my astrology business. Like, I was doing readings and reading birth charts for friends for like 3 or 4 years, and then eventually a couple of my friends were like, I want to pay you for this, and I was like, wait, I can create money this way? And that leads me into another story of like, when I was living out of my car last summer, which I talked about in my live that I did 2 days ago. You can find on my IGTV, where all my lives live. If you're not new to Instagram or familiar with Instagram, you know this. One of the miraculous ways I created money when I was living out of my car was just by like going to different places wherever I felt led. And the story could be like 10 minutes long, but to keep it short, I was searching for a place to work and to get online because I didn't have Wi-Fi. I was living out of my car. I didn't have electricity. I was living out of my car. So I was like going to Starbucks and coffee shops to get electricity and Wi-Fi to be able to do things, to put myself online to create money, right? And I couldn't find a seat with a plug. This was during COVID also. So all the indoor like seating areas were closed where I was. There was no, wait, was this during? Yeah, this was during COVID. Wow, holy shit. That was only a year ago. Feels like 10 years. So anyways, the Starbucks, it was full. I couldn't plug in my laptop there. I couldn't get Wi-Fi there. And so I was like, where am I going to go? I have no idea where else I'm going to go because this town is so small and there's only a Starbucks. And I was like, well, actually in the next town, there's a college. Maybe I could go there and maybe they'll have a plug outside miraculously somehow. And then I can maybe use their Wi-Fi or something. Turns out they did. I'd never been to this college before. Didn't know that this was a thing. But so I was sitting outside using their plugs, like by the bike racks or whatever, using their electricity to charge my laptop and my phone and to get online to, again, kind of do what I'm doing right now. And this guy comes up and he's like, oh, like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like, we just started talking, and I was like, oh, I'm an astrologer, and I like do readings for people to like help them understand who they are and how they can align with their life purpose. And he was like, oh, I want a reading from you. And then he just like paid me cash. And I was like, and I had like been struggling all day to like find food because I didn't have money. I like didn't know how I was going to eat. I didn't know like how I was going to get gas to be able to drive to a new place to camp that night. And then this stranger just comes up, and I, again, just speaking my truth authentically and completely unattached from any sort of expectation of an outcome. And he's just like, yeah, I want a reading. Like, I'll pay you right now. Do you take cash? I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, that's amazing. So that's just like an example of one of the ways that you can create money in the most like random, unexpected, unknown ways when you really release your expectation or attachment to a certain way or certain outcome of how you can create money. So anyways, I hope that inspires you today and gets you fired up about how easy it can be to create money when you really truly allow it to be, and let your money go. Like, really integrate and embody the belief that like it's gonna come back to you no matter what. And when you live from that place, when you take action from that place of expecting it to be a constant flow, because again, money comes from source, money comes from an infinite source, an unlimited source, and when we allow it, we get to tap into that source. I mean, we're always tapped in, but it's only when we allow it that it is for us. So anyways, I don't want to get off on any more tangents. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you for joining me. I hope this resonated with you. I would love to hear about your relationship with money and how you've been consciously and intentionally changing it, and what you intend to embody as it relates to money, and how you choose what relationship you choose to have with money. And do you want to create it with ease? Because if so, yes, you can. It's possible for you. So I love you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you when I see you. Blessings.